Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk about the Airsoft Masterpiece Advanced Frame. I've just installed one on my man Josh's high capper here. I built this one for him last year. This belongs to what I call my Lightspeed series. And these are competition grade and competition winning now, thanks to OTM Airsoft. Bringing home the win for the 2 versus 2 pistol and shotgun tournament at Shot Zone, Indiana. Like I say, these are competition grade, super light, super fast, accurate, pretty much everything you could want. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on the scale right here. You guys can see how much this one weighs. 15.1. This high capper right here weighs less than 1 pound. So, the advantages of installing the advanced frame obviously are the weight. You're going to lose all that weight from the stock frame. Now the second advantage, most people know, or if you're not familiar, is we have this full rail CNC'd aluminum frame. Also, we have the color choices now, and there's also one other option that's kind of a benefit to owning this frame, and I'll show you. I'll go ahead and tear this down real quick. First I'm going to take off my hammer housing pin, slide off my mag well, take out my hammer housing, then I'm going to take my safety out. Well, my safety components just fell right out there. Beaver tail falls right out, and I'm going to go ahead and take out my sear spring because we're going to be pulling this out, and I'm going to show you what's going on in here. So there's 2 pins right here. Now this holds the whole hammer housing internals in here. Now what you do is you flip it over, you push 1 pin out, start with the big pin, put them to the side, then flip it over, go for the smaller pin. Now be careful with the smaller pin because the smaller pin actually traps and holds the disconnector inside the frame. So if you watch, if I pull this smaller pin out, my disconnector, well, he kind of almost fell out. I think if I finagle him just a little bit, yep, there he goes. So that smaller pin traps that disconnector in there, and I'll show you what I mean when we go ahead to reassemble this. Now, most of the time, if you want to get in here to any of your hammer internals, your sear, your reset, disconnector, hammer, any of that kind of stuff, you'd have to take your grip off, take the frame apart right here, you take that little side plate off. With this, all you have to do is reach your finger in here, and this whole assembly just comes out in one piece. Now you got to be careful because there's your spring reset right there, and if you keep pushing, that thing could pop off and fly away and you'll never find it again. So I take my thumb like this, and as I'm pushing out, I capture that spring right there. That's all you got to worry about. Now, turn him over and let him fall out, and we got the spring right there. We didn't lose it. So on this hammer housing, it will not come with a hammer. Now, one of the issues that I ran into when I was trying to install this frame the first time was we tried the stock hammer, and I've tried this before a couple other times, and actually my man Koa on his build, he has an advanced frame. We were getting that hammer chop on the blowback unit. We had that like severe emergency brake like hammer chop on the blowback unit, making it slow down. So I didn't want that. I kind of knew how to fix it. I've done this before. I did this on Koa's gun. I installed an Airsoft Masterpiece hammer. I've done it on my gun. I did it on Koa's gun, and I figured that's the problem. It's probably going to have to do it on this gun too. In order to do that, you just want to take this screw out right here, lift up this plate. That'll come out. Now, so like I say, this doesn't come with a hammer, but it will come with this pin. It'll look just like that. You'll have your sear, your valve knocker, your spring, and this little pin right here. Now, if you try to put your hammer on here and you notice it's not going on, there might be a problem or issue with that. You have to take that pin out, drop it into your hammer first, then reinstall it. Once you do that, you can put your plate back on. Make sure it's flush. Make sure nothing's binding. Screw it back together. And we're going to take our reset. We're going to drop our reset on the side there like that. I'm going to take our reset spring, and I do it just like this. Put my thumb on there, and I take my finger and I start pushing it underneath my thumb. And once it gets in there, I push my thumb down and I trap it in there, just like we did when we took it out. Now I take it and I slide it in there like that. Might have to wiggle it around just a hair to figure it out, get it in the right angle to slide it in. Be careful sliding that spring in right there. If that spring wants to pop out on you, go ahead and take like a Allen wrench or something and just sort of push them in there, hold them in there until he gets past that point. Then you're good to go. Take your big pin, insert your big pin. Now flip them up. We can drop our disconnector in. Flip up your hammer and your hammer strut. Slide your disconnector down the right side. Take your small metal pin, and you should trap that disconnector right in there. Now, don't hit these in with a hammer, please. Please do not hit this with a hammer. If they get stuck and they won't go in all the way, flip it over on the other side and see which way the pin will need to go. Sometimes the pin might need to be pushed back a little bit or pushed forward. Please do not smack these with a hammer. It might take a minute to finesse them in, but you'll get it, trust me. Okay, now we're going to go for our sear spring. Drop him in. I usually go for my hammer housing next so I can trap my sear spring in there. Just wiggle. Just have to wiggle that hammer strut around a little bit till he gets in there. Now I take my beaver tail, drop my beaver tail in. Get my frame pin back in there. Bagwell. Now I'm going to go after my safety, but I'm going to go ahead and cock my hammer back first. Little pin, spring, large pin. Now here's the other issue that I ran into when I was trying to install this frame. The stock safeties didn't work. They almost worked, but they would not go in all the way and they would not go down. So what I had to do, I had this 9-ball, left side only, thumb safety. And this was in my gun, but I had to get Josh up and running, so I took this out of my gun. So I swapped him safeties. I took the stock ones, put them on my gun for now. I'll buy another one of these later and then put it on there later. But in order for me to get him together and back together, he needed, you know, a CNC. This is a Lilac, so this is actually a good fit. It went together perfectly. Everything's beautiful. It looks beautiful. Like I say, if you guys are looking for something like this, hit me up. Let me know if you have any questions on how to install or where to find one. Anything, man. Hit me up. Let me know. You know what to do. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Heavy Metal out.